Thank you so much for being back with us on another episode of Winning the Moment. Today I have one of my really, really good friends and neighbor, Carl Formato, with me, and it is an absolutely amazing episode. We cover so many incredible topics. We really have some heartfelt conversations, jump into some really cool things. It's one I know you're going to love. It's the last episode of season 1, so do not miss it. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay till the end because he gives one of my favorite answers to the question, how do you define success? I think you'll really love it. Stay tuned and okay, that's great. Mal, are you recording?
I am.
Okay, well then I'm ready to get started if you are.
Yeah, fire away.
We should have done it later so we could have a cocktail.
You were talking about the Joe Rogan. I mean, they're always drinking and smoking, and it's a little early in the morning. But
I know that's the problem. That's what I've been telling these guys. I was like, I need to move to Thursdays at 5. So
should have done this on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Put some football in or something.
Yeah, if it allows it, you can. Okay, well, wherever you are and however you are listening, thanks for being back with us on another episode of Winning the Moment. Today is special for a couple of reasons. We just hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, so thank you to all the subscribers out there. Got that silver play button, which is awesome. And then this is going to be the final episode of season 1, so episode 80. We're going to kind of reshift, refocus, reprioritize as we roll into 2025. And I couldn't think of a better guest to wrap it up with. I've got my good friend Carl Formato with me today. Carl, thanks for being here.
Absolutely, Cody. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
So Carl and I each have daughters in the same grade in the same school and with the same name.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, you just yell live, and one of them's going to look.
So they moved from California, was it 2 years ago?
A little over 2 years, yeah. August of 22.
2 years ago to St. George and in our same neighborhood, and our kids ended up at school together, and they brought us together, which has been awesome. They've been great friends ever since. In fact, we are leaving for Mexico in a couple of days to go spend Thanksgiving together in Cancun. I can't wait.
That's right. Yeah, well, depending on when this airs, we may have just come back from Mexico.
Yeah, let's see. So this will be the Wednesday after. Yeah, so we'll get back on Monday.
What an amazing trip Mexico was.
Yeah. That's funny because we pre-record for Virtual GM. So I'll have these notes and I'll tell Megan okay, this episode is 12/12. So think about what you're thinking, what just happened last week.
I should have gotten a better tan in Mexico, but we're looking forward to it next week.
So the question is, have you packed yet?
I have not. We're going to take this weekend to do that. And I did look at the weather this morning, though. It's supposed to be,
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in the mid 80s for the high and the low 70s for the low. So
perfect.
I don't even think I'm going to bring a pair of jeans.
The only thing you might need is one pair of pants. I think there's a restaurant,
one dinner
that you can't. They won't let you not wear pants to.
All right,
and closed-toed shoes. I think at least one pair.
All right, fair enough. Well, you need it from the airplane so you don't get cold on your feet.
That's true, dude.
Yeah,
I hate being cold on the plane.
It's the worst.
I flew to Norfolk this week, and I always dress comfortable on planes. They say dress for success on a plane.
Sure.
Fuck that,
I will. I'm gonna jump in. I will tell you though, man. When I'm in my board shorts and a tank top versus if I got a suit on or a jacket,
treated different.
They do look at you a little bit differently.
I don't doubt that any bit. It's just when you fly out of St. George, you know this. You travel for work, so to get to the East Coast, I had to go St. George to Salt Lake, Salt Lake to where did I go? Minneapolis, and then Minneapolis to Norfolk. So it's just a terrible day.
Yeah. Well, here the key is just buy first class tickets and then you can wear whatever you want because they don't judge you. Yeah. I'm not going to get upgraded. I'm already there.
I was hoping I got just the regular ones, and I was looking at it. I was like, there's lots of upgrades. I'm for sure getting one. And then I looked at my phone. It was the upgrade list.
27.
I was so deep in the list. I was like, luckily I got a couple comfort pluses in there. So that was nice. But man, I'll tell you, so I was wearing sweats, a t-shirt, a hoodie, and a hat. Oh, I have a hat for you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I love it. Thank you.
It's branded Bills. It's the most comfortable hat I've ever had.
Nice. Are you going to sign it for me?
I don't think I can.
Silver Sharpie?
Yeah, I will. So there you go. Now you got a hat for Mexico.
I appreciate it.
Pack number 1, done.
Done.
Cover the dome.
This is all I'm going to wear, actually.
Yeah. That and shorts.
What kind of resort is it? Oh, okay. Wasn't sure what
It's
kind of resort
family
it was.
friendly.
Okay, all right, then I'll wear shorts.
There's probably a part you don't have to, but for the most part, you gotta wear shorts. But anyway, so I'm on this plane. I got my pants on, my jacket, my sweater, and I'm still freezing. And I've like reached up and turned off the air and everything. And yet, like, I had to go arms into the hoodie, and then I was like, not good enough, arms into the t-shirt, and like hug myself.
Did you have an aisle or an exit or a window?
I'm always an aisle guy.
Okay, because the windows are always the coldest.
That makes sense.
Always, you're out right there on
Yeah.
the fuselage, and you're up against it. So yeah, I like the aisles as well.
Actually, you know what? I think you're right. I think on that one, I actually was a window because that was like the last Comfort Plus I could get, and I'd rather have that.
And then throw a red eye in there; it's even more cold.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I that sucked, and then coming home, I had to go Norfolk to Atlanta. Ugh. And then Atlanta to Salt Lake to St. George. And my dumbass, almost missed the flight to St. George. So
There's only 2 a day.
I know. Well,
it's
it left at 10:50, right? And so I get to Salt Lake at like 8. And so luckily I go to the Delta Lounge. So it's like not the worst thing in
Yeah.
the world. And then Salt Lake's Delta Lounge is phenomenal. So I go in, I'm eating my dinner, I'm having my drinks. And I'm sitting there thinking like, all right, I got to be down at my gate at 10:50. And so I'm getting my last beer and I'm drinking it, and I get a message and it's like, you're boarding. And I was like, boarding? And I'm like, holy shit. It leaves at 10:50. It doesn't board at 10:50. And then it's like, we close the doors 15 minutes prior to departure.
Right.
I walked in with not a time to spare. I was literally at the 15-minute mark.
We a buddy of mine, long time ago, same situation where we thought we were at Admiral's Club at the time, and we're like, oh, we got a half hour until the gate. And I am a strict do not run in the airport. I do not run for gates. Maybe I'll throw a little pep in my giddy up, but I'm not
like
running.
a old lady in a mall power walk.
I am yes. I am never running. You'll never see me. I will miss a flight, and I have missed flights. So my buddy and me, I've missed flights. I've missed
the
trains.
principal.
I've missed. I'll tell you the story if you want to talk about
Yeah.
travel. I'll tell you the story.
please.
In Greece. Give me a second though on this one. So my buddy and I are like, all right, we're at the Admiral's Club having a couple drinks, and we're like, yeah, we got a half hour, and so we start walking, and we get to the gate, and I'm not kidding you, doors closed. And they're like, we've been calling your name for the last 30 minutes. And we're like, well, we made some excuse. They opened the gate. They opened the door that was closed that they're not supposed to.
Oh, they
open.
never open the door.
They opened it for me. We walk on the plane, and we were just getting daggers thrown at
Oh,
us
yeah.
from all the people that are waiting for us. And we're like, a little tipsy. And we're
Of
like,
course.
hey, hi, everybody. How you doing?
Why are you guys here so early?
yeah. Got a half hour to spend. So,
Well, it was so nice for me because I've always flown on Southwest for like the last 5 years because like that's where we had our cards and our points.
yeah.
And so that one you don't have the luxury of waiting because you got to fist fight people for your seat,
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
So it's like you got to be ready to rumble.
I don't like waiting for my number to be called. I like to have, okay, I know I'm in group 1 or group 7, whatever
Yeah.
it may be. I don't want to get there like 3 hours earlier to stand in line and then.
Well, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, I already have a seat, so it's
Yeah.
irrelevant. I'll just walk in at 10:50.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
okay, so tell me about Greece.
So the Greece story. So we were there. This is before Agata and I got married. This is right before we got married. And we go visit the island of Santorini. And, if you see I can imagine it right now, you popping up images of the blue houses with
The whites?
with the
Yeah,
white
of
tops on
course.
it. Yeah. So we go to Santorini, and we go to the back end of the island where there's these black sand beaches. One of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen in my life. I had taken some Dramamine because
You're on a boat ride?
We're on a boat ride,
Uh-huh.
and
Do you get motion sickness on boats?
if I'm up and down running around, I learned that as a young kid. If I'm running around the boat like just being a dumbass, then
Yeah.
yes, I will. But if I'm just hanging out there,
You're fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. So I take this Dramamine. We get to the back end of the island of Santorini, and I fall asleep on the beach, on the black sand beach. And underneath, it was hot, so it was underneath like a little umbrella. So a woman comes up. She's like, "You got to give me, €5. I forget what the currency was at the time. There, this was again, like I said, about 24 years ago. I'm just like, pay the lady. Just pay the lady. I'm taking a nap. So take a nap. Agata wakes me up, I don't know, a couple hours later, and she's like, we got to go. We're going to miss the last bus to get back to the cruise ship, to get back to the main island, Athens, all that stuff.
Oh, you're on a cruise.
We were bouncing back and forth. I guess it was like a little ferry shuttle.
Oh,
or
okay,
something like
gotcha.
that. Yeah. So I'm like, fine. We get up, we go, and we see this one bus that has 1,000 people, tourists getting on the bus. They're hanging out the window. They're doing this. I'm like, screw that. I'm not going to sandwich myself in there. We'll get the next one. that was the last bus to get to the other side of the island to get back on the ferry to go back to Athens area. So I'm like, shit, what do we do? Kid you not, Cody. I'm trying to stop traffic. I don't speak, Greek.
Yeah.
And this ambulance just comes driving down the street. I get in the middle of the street and I almost hijacked this ambulance. I'm like, I don't know. Here's all the money I have. I got to get back to the other side.
Yeah.
We hopped a ride with the ambulance.
No, that's
to get back to the other
amazing.
side. So, talking about missing.
Did you
things,
sit in the back or in the front?
I don't remember. I think I was in the back and I let Agata sit in the front. And we were with my sister at the time, my future sister-in-law. We were with Monica, Agata's sister. So I think two of us were in the back and one of us were in the front.
That is so funny. So how long have you and Agata been married?
We have been married February will be 24 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Are you guys going to do anything awesome for your 25th?
I haven't thought that far ahead. I don't know. Probably something.
So 24 years. What do you think is the key to that?
Communication.
Yeah.
The love we have for each other, and getting things off your chest within 24 hours.
Oh.
So you've got 24.
Tell me about that.
You got 24 hours. There's a lot more. Agata has a list of like 11 key things. She's got a list of like 11 key things.
We'll have to put that in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, I don't want everybody to be happy and successful. I'm going to hang on to this stuff myself. No, we have a whole list, and it keeps getting longer because times change and people change and things, the environment, whatever. But a couple things is talk about what you want to talk about within 24 hours. So
you're saying like something bothers you?
If something bothers you, because you meet so many people that are like, I don't know where the fight started 10 years ago. I just know I was upset.
Yeah.
And a lot of that can be avoided if within that first 24 hours, you talk about what's on your mind, good, bad, and different. And that was one of the key rules that has been very successful for us, and we, have an open communication and listen to each other and take ownership when you're right, take ownership when you're wrong. Agata's always right. I'm always wrong.
I was going to say, I like taking ownership when you're right. That sounds good.
Do you want? My dad told me, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Yeah. So I get a few wins every now and then.
Yeah.
No, she's great. She lets me win all the time. But 24 hours. Always kiss each other goodnight. Again, whether you're mad or happy, it's that routine of always kiss each other goodnight, talk about what's on your feelings, treat each other well. And it goes, we can spend hours talking about this, but those have been kind of the key things that, we always work towards each other.
Yeah.
And, we're religious. We're on the.
That's so funny you said that. I was literally just going to say, what role does faith play in that?
It does. So when
How interesting.
Yeah. So, and we're Roman Catholic, right? What am I doing here?
So those are the fireworks that shoot up.
Yes.
Those are Roman candles.
Yes. No, that works too. After Mass every Sunday, they fire them up. Yeah, absolutely. But so we're one of the, I think there's
were you both Roman Catholic when you met?
Yeah. So So my background is Italian and half Italian, quarter Polish, quarter Lithuanian. Agata 100% Polish, born in Poland. So very.
How do you know your background? Did you do 23andMe or is it just like passed down?
No, just passed down.
Because I wouldn't think you'd do that.
No, I'm especially now that I think BlackRock bought them.
Yeah.
And they have everyone's DNA.
Yeah, I wouldn't. You don't strike me as the kind of guy to be like, here, have my information.
No, here's the keys to the castle. No, just my grandmother was born in a town called Gragnano, which is south of Sicily, south of Naples.
Oh, your grandma?
Yeah, my father's mother.
Wow.
And my great grandfather was born in Rome. So we know on my dad's side, my dad's 100% Italian. And then my mother, we know that their family came from Lithuania and Poland.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when your grandma was born in Sicily, did she come to the States or was your dad the first one to come?
She came to the States and, it was 1930 something in the 30s. So she was the first one to come.
So you're second generation.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Second generation.
Yeah. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So my grandfather and then the rest of the family, my family from the Chicago area. So my grandfather was born in Chicago and
big Polish community in Chicago, right?
Largest outside of Warsaw.
Yeah, so I thought. I'm curious. We never talked about this, but given that you're a second generation immigrant, right? How do you feel about the immigration stuff now?
Oh, we're going politics, huh? Okay.
Just dabble.
I am,
because it's different for you, right? Because you're second generation, so it is different. Like for me, I don't even know, and we've just been here for a long time, so it's like I don't even. That's not even a thought for me.
Well, and it's you'll get the perspective, right? So it may not, weigh on you. For me, okay, it's not a big deal because my grandparents came here through Ellis Island.
I was going to say, did they come through Ellis Island?
They came through here, and it was a different time, almost 100 years ago. Now, Agata, being born in Poland, coming over here, got to the East Coast, bounced around a little bit, and we eventually met at Arizona State in Tempe, has a little bit different of a view. And I agree with her because, you've got to do it the right way. There are paths to citizenship, right?
Yeah.
I want paths to citizenship, right? You do it the right way. You get your green card, you get your whatever, the I visa to work. If you're just going to open up the borders and let people in, and then, okay, everybody has the humanity component to it, but when they displace our veterans in the hotels.
Yeah, I just heard a whole thing about that actually yesterday, that like the veteran homelessness increased dramatically because the funds for their housing went for the migrant crisis.
Absolutely. So when you start taking away the American citizens' rights, the jobs, the help, the assistance, the housing, the veterans affairs, when all this money, the hotels have been, New York and LA and all the sanctuary cities, they're just letting all the migrants in there. And then you start seeing all these, the ripple effect of years of an open border policy of now the negative things that the migrants are doing to kids.
Well,
women,
like if you're trying to be
everything,
if talking about current affairs, like the Lincoln Riley case, right?
Absolutely.
That just happened. So I don't know if you can talk about Agata's background, but because she's first generation or second?
She was born in Poland, so
so she is an immigrant.
Yeah. So Livia, our daughter,
first generation.
First generation.
Interesting. Yeah. See, so you have a totally different perspective,
right?
I mean, you literally experienced it in your lifetime.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, through Agata, right? And we can spend a lot longer.
And even a little bit through you. I mean, second generation is not, you're not talking forever, that's.
And I'll give you an example here. So, I actually looked at getting a dual citizenship for Italy as well as here in the United States. And because my grandmother was born before 1945 or something, I think it was like that, you have to use your fraternal grandparents, not your maternal. So it would have to have been because my grandfather was born in Chicago. I would have to find my great grandfathers because of the rules that.
What an interesting thing. So if it's not the dude, it doesn't count.
And I think they're changing that now. But I went through the process years ago of trying to track down the birth certificates, the death certificates of my grandmother to apply for dual citizenship. Country of Italy is like, nope, these are the rules. This is what you have to do.
Why were you going to do that?
Looking at potentially buying property out there. And
are you really thinking about living there, like half and half?
Yeah.
We've got friends who they spent all summer there, and now they're just like, that's what they're getting ready to do.
Yeah. And we already own a place in Poland. Agata and I bought a little flat in Gdansk, which is near the Baltic Sea up north. Beautiful, beautiful, very touristy, beautiful area. So we bought that, about 13 years or so ago.
Do you rent it or?
Yeah. So we rent it. So the goal was, and the end goal is to eventually end up just in Europe, bounce back and forth between Italy and Poland and, check out all the other countries. But where I was going on the immigration component, I looked to do the dual citizenship with Italy, and I couldn't do it. So I'm like, okay, that's the rules. So I'm not going to do it. Do I just go to Italy and cross the border illegally and just set up shop and do whatever? So, it's a different generation of mindset from, where I am in my age and you and your age, and then the next generation of kids in their age, the 20-year-olds. A lot different view because, you only know what you know.
Yeah. And do you think Livia is like aware of the fact she's a first generation American? That's kind of awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a super cool thing.
Yeah. She knows that.
I didn't even know we were going to talk about this. It just happened. That's the beauty of a podcast.
It's organic.
But that is so cool. Like, what an amazing thing for her. Can you talk about why Agata came to the States? If you can't, that's okay.
They were exiled, actually, from Poland. Her father was fighting against socialism and communism back in the 80s the Solidarity. I can't pronounce that one in Polish, but it was the movement that they were fighting against communism. And he was in politics, and he actually knew the president of Poland. He knew Pope John Paul before he was Pope.
Wow.
He's in history books, and he was fighting, and he got all the political leaders got imprisoned. So he went to jail, and essentially they said the communist and the socialist movement said, stay here and your life will be a hell, or leave. So he made the decision to leave Poland.
Wow.
I believe they went to Germany for a little bit, eventually making their way out to the United States, spent some time in Connecticut, New York first. I believe its story is had 20 or 40 bucks in his pocket.
Yeah, I remember Agata telling me.
And day one gets mugged.
No, I didn't know that part.
No, I know you're not laughing, but there's...
No, I'm laughing because what are the odds? You have no money, and you can't even speak the language, and someone mugs you?
So this all circles back to the whole immigration component for us.
And hold on, let me just pause for 1 second. Please don't lose your train of thought. But I just want to put the audience in this person's mindset. So you are a political leader in your country, right? So you officially like very much succeeded in your life.
Right.
Then that country kicks you out. You go to a foreign country where you don't know the language. You already probably are stressed to the tilt about how you're going to support your family.
Yeah.
And you got $40 and someone takes literally everything you have. That had to be the lowest moment that someone could have.
There could be lower moments.
Yeah, I mean, if you died, I suppose. But I mean, that's pretty rough to have everything taken from you and then to have the last little bit of thing that you have and someone takes that from you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Amazing what Agata's family did, like fighting through that.
So it's crazy because they, going back to, they bounced around a little bit, Connecticut, New York, eventually made their way, her father did die. You know this story, don't you?
I don't know. I thought I do.
Yeah. So, broke his neck in a swimming accident, diving into a pool.
Oh my God. Oh, jeez. Man, how old was Agata at that time?
7.
I think maybe now that you're telling me, I think I do remember.
That's why I'm always paranoid when our girls are swimming.
Yeah.
And dive into the pool. No. But the things that Agata and her family went through, standing in line for a loaf of bread, right? Standing in line for this, for that, whatever. During COVID, we, living in Southern California, they rationed your toilet paper, your water. Costco, you can only buy one thing of water. You can only buy one thing of toilet paper. You go into Target, you can only buy one thing of hand sanitizer. So we were in Target one time in Southern California in Orange County, and they're like, new shipment just came in. And everybody ran to like the back loading docks to stand in line for a pump of antibacterial. And we stood there, and Agata looks at me and she's like, I'm getting PTSD. This is socialism.
Yeah.
And we just left our cart and just left. So, when it comes to some of our freedoms and our liberties and what we think,
it's different.
What the government's doing versus what really happens, she's lived through that. Someone that real and someone that amazing of what they've gone through and now to become successful and, have our control of our own destiny. I mean, it's such a success story. Sweetie, I love you. I hope you're okay with me sharing the story. She doesn't watch your podcast, so we're okay.
She definitely won't watch now that you're on it.
I'll be like, honey,
she'll skip that one.
What'd you talk about?
She's like,
sports.
I already know, Carl. Okay, so we segued accidentally to this really awesome story, but you were talking about Roman Catholic, and that's how you guys met. So let's jump back to that.
So going back to that, right? So the keys to the marriage and the success is when we were getting married, we had to go through like a year's worth of prep classes. Because
that's what your religion does.
With the Catholic priest, just to make sure that, hey, we're in the right mindset and on the same
Which
path.
is a good thing.
Absolutely.
Nothing bad from that.
And that's where we learned a couple of these things. This is again now probably, we'll be together.
This would have been like the 60s.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I feel that's how old we, No, so they, you go through all these things, and that's where I learned
think that's
a couple of different
great.
things. But they showed up this triangle, or they showed this triangle, right? I'm not doing the Illuminati. If you're,
You seen that thing where they like cross their fingers all weird?
yeah, one hand inside the pocket, and one, or maybe I am throwing up the Illuminati. No, it's a triangle, everybody. And essentially, I'm here, and Agata's there, and God is up here. And there's two ways that we can grow closer to each other. We can grow closer this way to each other, or we can grow closer to this way, closer to God, but we're also getting closer to each other. So religion is a big factor for us, and there's one Catholic church here in St. George. We try and make it as much as possible.
What's amazing you saying that though is I've never been like, oh man, Carl and Agata, they're real churchy.
We're and we're not, right? In terms of like, if someone asks me about it, I'll talk all day long about whatever I've got.
But I think that's great. It's for you. It's not for anybody else.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be like, oh, because it is a big LDS community here. I'm not going to go knock on doors and be like, hey, have you found my Christ? Right?
Can I interest you in some fireworks?
They're Roman Catholic. Absolutely. But no, I mean, it's, just spending the time together. And, we were so young. I mean, we were 21 when we first got together, got married at 23, right before our 24 birthdays. And we didn't know what we were doing. It was trial and error. You have successes, you have losses, and you learn from them. And, just having that communication, that 24-hour thing really, really helped us.
Yeah, I like that. I also like the triangle thing too, right?
Yeah.
When no matter what you believe, whatever that thing is at the top, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Whatever religion you want to do, whatever God you believe in, whatever your thing is, just...
What's Roman Catholic? What's the difference between what's the difference between that and Catholic?
It's all essentially Christianity. It's just got different versions. I believe the Roman side of it is more just because it's the European component to it.
Roman. You guys being from Italy and Poland, that's how you ended up in the Roman Catholic.
Yeah, I mean, that was just from our parents, right?
Yeah, right.
So essentially, yes, it's like, okay, this is the religion we're going to be, and this is the religion we are, and we're going to continue down that path.
And when do kids get baptized in your religion?
Traditionally, when they're babies.
Okay.
So Liv was baptized on June 15th, 14th or 15th, whatever the Father's Day was, the year she was born, 2014.
Okay.
So I think it was the 15th, June 15th, which was cool because it was a Sunday, it was Father's Day.
Yeah, that's
my kid
awesome.
gets baptized. But you see people all the time, like Russell Brand. He just got baptized, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
Yeah. Did he get baptized Roman Catholic or?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
he got baptized.
Being baptized is coming into the Christianity, the Christian faith. I don't know if it's Roman Catholic or just Catholic, but it's essentially, having Jesus as your savior and God as your idol.
So since you've been to Europe, have you been to what's it called?
Vatican?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. How's that?
Amazing. And we went back in 1999 when I graduated college. My family, my sister, mom, dad, and I went there. And then Agata and I have been back, I think, 2 or 3 times to Italy. And we've gone to the Vatican 2 or 3 times. Actually, when Pope John Paul, who's Polish, by the way, whose first name is Carl. It's actually Karol, Karol. We had Mass with him. Back in 99 at the Vatican. With 1,000 of our closest friends.
Yeah.
Which was cool. And speaking of popes, my grandmother's, so my father's mother, who was born in Grignano, she's cousins with Pope Pius XII, who's Eugene Pacelli is his name, who's buried in the catacombs of the Vatican.
Wow.
So when we went in 99, have you ever been to the Vatican?
No, I've never been to Europe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Oh, let's do it. Let's go next year.
I am. 2026. We're going because Megan and I's 15-year wedding anniversary.
It's our 25.
I know. There you go.
There we go.
So we're
leave the kids at home,
no, we're taking the kids.
Oh, okay. Well,
because we want to go for 2 weeks. And Megan's not leaving the kids for 2 weeks, So yeah, we're just gonna bring them with us.
Well, I'll give you some. We've been to a lot of places.
I'd
we
love to pick your brain on it.
So going back to the Vatican, we go downstairs and everything's blocked off, whatever. And
I was gonna say, can you go in the catacombs? Probably not.
You can.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you can. But there's some areas that just the tour sheet a little down here. You can see some this, that, and then you head out. Well, my dad's like, hey, here's my great uncle is Eugene Pacelli. He's buried down here. He slips the guy like a 5, and the guy's like, I can't take it, right? But he lets us in to go to where my grandmother's great cousin, the Pope, is buried.
Wow.
So it's really cool. So
That is really cool.
we go back. Agata and I go back. This is before Liv was. I don't think Livia was not with us. So we go back. I try and do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So go back down. And
You had to slip a 10 now because of inflation.
Yeah, it's like 20 now inflation, right? So I go and I speak enough Italian that I can get through the country.
Yeah.
And so I'm down there talking to one of the the French guards. I believe they're the French guards, the people that protect the Vatican.
Okay. I wouldn't know.
What's it called? The papal guards? Anyway. So I get down there, I'm speaking Italian. This guy's like, no. I'm like, my cousin, my grandmother's cousin, blah. He's like, no. So this dude rolls up. He must have been like one of the janitors or custodians, whatever. He comes up with a rag and a squirt bottle, and he's like, let the guy in, right? Type of thing. So he walks us over there. So we get to go back again through you can't go through these catacomb areas, and it was pretty cool. So yeah, Vatican is amazing. Italy's great. We've been kind of all over there, and anytime you're looking at going somewhere, I'm more than happy.
If you were to live in Europe, where would you choose?
Ooh, specifically in a city, since we have the place in Gdansk right now, that would be probably a home base, and then you can just take train to go wherever, and then probably in Tuscany area.
Okay.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
So Italy.
It's central. You can get to pretty much Rome in a couple hours, Milan a couple hours, Venice a few hours.
Which place of all the ones you visited had like the biggest impact on you?
In Italy or just in general?
Well, let's do both.
Okay. Oh man, we've been to a lot of places. I think the most impactful place that Agata and I have been to was in Poland, just outside of Krakow, the Birkenau Auschwitz, the concentration.
Yeah.
It was.
I couldn't imagine. I get goosebumps just even thinking about what it would be like.
It was so surreal, Cody, that you see the movie Schindler's List, and that's the train track that goes right in there, and you see the gas chambers, and most of them are destroyed, but one is still kind of half standing, and you're walking through the halls, and you see the barracks of where they're stacked, where four people would sleep on top of each other on wooden beds. You're walking past this place called the firing wall, the death wall, the kill wall. That is where they would execute
line them up.
Yeah. And you're going through and you're seeing, these big glass displays of glasses. If anyone came in there wearing glasses, they would immediately be killed because they thought that it was a sign of intellect, so that they're superior, that they have glasses, that they know more than you. So immediately,
wow,
and it wasn't just Jews, it was Poles, it was Italians, it was, Germans, it was, it wasn't just a Jewish, massacre of these millions and millions of people, but just walking through there.
Do you remember what year that was?
That we went there?
No. When that was happening.
It was...
Mallory, could you look that up?
It would have been in 1943.
And the reason I ask is like that isn't that long ago. There's people who were alive who experienced it, and to think like that was happening, such devastation in a time when you could have been alive during that. Yeah. It's just hard to fathom that can happen.
And you hear some stories of survivors, and you hear some stories of kind of like the Underground Railway of people helping other people escape there.
Yeah, but when you talk about it, I think of like Anne Frank,
Yeah. And Agata's uncle was there.
In Auschwitz?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they don't know what happened to him.
Wow.
Yeah. So circling it back to the migration and the illegal and the world and the socialism and what's happening, it hits very
well. Yeah, I mean, you guys are very strong in your beliefs, and I think it's great. But I never I just now I'm connecting the why behind that strength. Yeah. Makes a lot more sense.
There's a reason why everyone does what they do. And I was trying to remember that, like if you're driving on the road and someone cuts you off, I'm like, maybe they got somewhere more important to go than I do. Everybody's got something. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got problems. Everybody's got successes. It's just, try and, think about what your actions do and what they mean based on what you know and what you've seen and what you've lived through.
So you talked a little bit about that moment you had during COVID in California, and it was like that was the tipping point.
Yeah.
Of we got to get out of here.
The tipping point was at the time Liv being, 6 or 7 years old during the summertime at the YMCA for summer camp outside having to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And then come home.
We're going to look back at that shit.
With a tan line.
We're going to look back at that. Like I saw pictures of like an orchestra, and they're like all in individual, like little like bubbles.
Yeah.
You know?
But they had their mouths cut out so they could,
yeah.
so they could
and
be
I saw a video of somebody, and they were at like a restaurant, and they were drinking the wine through their mask.
Yeah.
And then they would like lift it up to put the food in.
The amount of nonsense that COVID was. And I know you guys here in St. George, everyone I talked to was like, oh yeah, it was just like a little blip. No one did anything. Nobody cared. Everything was open. Maybe stores were closed for a day or two. And
it was pretty chill.
Yeah.
The funniest one to me was the airplanes, because they would make you like wait in line 6 feet apart to board the plane.
Yeah. And then you're sitting right next to each other.
Yeah. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, or same thing with the restaurant. Like, wear your mask when you walk to your table, and then you can take it off.
Because COVID, you don't know how it worked. I did all the research, Cody. You don't know that COVID does not work 3 feet off the ground, but from 3 feet to 6 feet when you're standing, then it works. So if you're sitting down at a table with a mask off eating, you're good to go.
Yeah.
You're good to go. Oh man, I got in so many arguments with managers of restaurants and Costco's and for not wearing my mask. Airports, yeah. I would never wear it. Never wear it. Even on the airplane, they'd be like, you have to wear a mask. I'm like, I got a big bag of pistachios.
Yeah.
How long is this flight? I'm gonna eat them all.
God, I'll never forget. We went to Florida it was supposed to be for work, and then we ended up not going to the conference, just hanging out on the beach the whole time. Yeah. And we were in it's not Palm Beach, but it's something like that in Florida. They call it the Redneck Riviera. Mm-hmm. So there's like no sidewalks.
Redneck Riviera?
Yeah,
Love
no
it.
sidewalks. People driving their Jeeps on the beach.
Perfect.
So they didn't give a single shit about COVID, which was awesome, because like we're in the midst of it. So it was like, you got to go be a normal person for a bit.
Yeah.
And so our last night there, ended up having too much fun. And so like that night was like a sleep on the bathroom floor type of night. And we take the cab to the airport, and it's like our flight leaves at 6 o'clock in the morning, because you're going East Coast back, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm sleeping on the airport floor. I'm just barely hanging on. And we get onto the plane, and I'm seconds away from not being able to hold it in, And we had to wear a mask, and I was like, please God, let me just breathe through my nose, like for the sake of everyone on this airplane, I will cover my mouth, but please let my nose have oxygen. Yeah. So then we're on this long travel day. I'm just absolutely hungover. It's the worst thing ever. We get to our vehicle in the parking garage, and our fucking tire's flat.
Oh.
And it's Sunday at 4:45. And I was so done with the day. It was me and Megan and Allie, who worked for us, and Drez and Breck. And thank God Breck and Drez were okay, and they were able to
fix the tire.
Well, we couldn't fix it. I don't remember if we didn't have a spare or what, but there was something that we couldn't do.
Yeah.
Or no, we put a spare on, but we're like, guys, we're not driving back to St. George on a spare going 60 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to all get home. We're getting a real tire.
Right.
We found this one little tire shop that was open for like 5 more minutes, and got some used.
I'll take the bald one.
Yeah, got some used tire.
$20.
That's what we got. We got some used tire, good enough to get us home. And it was like, I didn't participate in any of it. Yeah. I just you guys figure it all out. My brain capacity is.
Here's my credit card. I'll pay for it.
I can't participate in any of this.
You fly out by. Yeah. Yeah. The beaches, same thing in California, although maybe you guys can find that, that picture of someone pranked the cops and put like a scarecrow of a guy fishing.
Oh, yeah.
On the beach.
I just watched him
like this, and then you see the cops walking up to him, and then they realize it's like a pumpkin head and just a statue.
I just saw a video of I forgot. I remember seeing it, years ago, of like a guy who wasn't wearing a mask in a restaurant. They're like taking him out, and they had his neck, and so they accidentally suffocated him or blacked out, and so the dude just collapses.
Yeah,
right, and then he picks him up by his shirt and his pants and carries him out of the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And so
it was totalitarianism in California during COVID. It was.
I wonder how far we get away from it before there's a real. I mean, it's happening now, but I'm talking a real study. Is it going to be in books? Man, you'll never believe what we did.
Yeah, depending on who's in charge and what information actually gets published out there. Yeah, I can't trust anything you hear these days.
So Liv goes to summer camp. She's 6 years old, wearing a mask, running around outside. So was that she came home and you're like, we're moving?
I'm out. Yeah.
And how long you guys lived in California at that point?
We had been there 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was home.
Uh-huh. My folks are down the street. We got my mother-in-law to move out. My sister at the time was a few miles down the street. Agata's sister, her husband were down in Oceanside. The whole family was there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I got to do what's right for me and my family. And let's go.
And so what made you pick St. George?
It was kind of a compromise, if you will. I wanted to go up to Montana and be in God's country and just be out in the woods and
really
call it. Yeah. Agata's like, it's way too cold. Let's move back to Arizona. We got married out in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
That's where, like I said, we met at Arizona State in Tempe. I was like, man, I don't want to go back out to Arizona. It's just too big and too wide. And when we had lived in for pretty much our whole entire lives in master plan communities, even before Liv was born.
Yeah.
So we built a house in Ladera Ranch, sold that, built a house in Rancho Mission Viejo, again, all South Orange County, and then sold that. And Liv was born 10 years ago in Irvine. So we had the master plan, had all the friends, all this, the community, the events. And that was the biggest thing is we wanted to get it back into a master plan community. So Montana was out because I wanted to go out in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
Arizona, we found a nice place, but it was like on the west side of town in Peoria. All of our friends,
Peoria sucks.
Yeah, all of our friends are in, Mesa and Scottsdale and Tempe, and it'd be like an hour and a half drive to go anywhere. I was like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, what about St. George? Because we had been out here, I don't know, like 7, 8 years ago to hit Zion. And then I have a client out in Colorado City, so I'd been here a handful more times.
Okay, so you are more exposed to it because you want to visit your client.
So I'm like, what about St. George? And she's like, St. George. And I'll just get online and Google Master Plan Community St. George. And the first thing that pops up, this was on a Tuesday, I think, and back in February. First thing that pops up was Desert Color. And I'm like, all right. So I start making some
So that'd be
calls.
February of 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is February of 2022.
Oh, 2022.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm on the phone calling some realtors and asking about this and that and the other. Get on the line with the guys at AJ, and literally that was a Tuesday. Literally, we were out there on Friday, out here on Friday, looking at lots, made an offer that Sunday. So within a week, I'm like,
wow,
we're doing this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's really cool about Desert Color, where we live, is many people had a similar experience to you. So I feel like Desert Color is an absolute melting pot of the community, like one thing I was worried about being that I went to high school here in Southern Utah. And so I definitely felt some of that like outsiderness, not being LDS. Right. And I remember being like, man, I'm worried about my kids when they turn 8, like, and their friends are getting baptized and they're like, hey, how come you don't believe in, like, why are you going to go to hell? Like I was a little bit worried about that. And my kids don't even know that they live in a particularly dominant religious community. They literally have no idea. Which is the greatest thing ever, because I love that they've got friends, like you guys who are Roman Catholic, and then other friends are LDS, and other kids are Christian. And so it's like, they don't even know. We don't even have a church in our neighborhood, which is crazy. Yeah. But I think like what a blessing that they're exposed to so many different types of people, and that they're not even aware in any capacity that they're an outsider.
I think my daughter's trying to convert Cash because you had one of the podcasts. You're like, I remember asking the question about like, oh, what'd you hear about God? Right.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because I just gave that talk. So in Norfolk, one of my slides talks about the universe. And so when I get to that slide, I say how the first keynote that I did, my son came and he asked me later that night, why'd you say the universe? I was like, well, that's just what I believe. He goes, yeah, but you're talking about God. And it's like, damn, that is like such a deep thing I think he was 6 or 7 at the time. Yeah. And, we're not a religious household. So it was like, where did that, like, that's just in him. Like that's just instinctually in that kid. And last Christmas, he wanted a chain with Jesus on the cross.
I love it.
And that's what he asked for.
I love it.
Because I have my chains, and he was like, I want one. He's like, but I want Jesus. And I was like, okay, like that's cool. Yeah. And he's like, but I want Jesus on the cross. And it's like, I don't know where he would have seen that or where his desire for that would have been. But yeah, it's just in him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it is awesome.
Yeah.
So now you've been out here for 2 years. I think you guys will be here for the long haul.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great place to live.
Yeah, it is just booming and growing, and it's funny that so many Californians are coming here, and a lot of people are here from Vegas because all the Californians are going to Vegas. Vegas coming up here, but I remember when we were here that same weekend that we put the offer in, we went to Rib and Chop and just posted up at the bar, and we were talking to this family, two couples about like, could we take the seat, could we move around, and just got to talking that we're thinking about moving here from California. And the first thing the dude says is, "You're not going to bring your California liberal bullshit here, are you?" And I'm like, "Why do you think we're getting out of California?" No, we're cool. All right, we're good.
We're in the cool kids
We're
club.
the cool kids. We're the cool kids. So, but yeah, this is going to be it for the long haul. I mean, you never say never, right?
Sure.
You never know what's going to happen. I already mentioned earlier that, the end game is Poland or Italy, somewhere out there after Liv's doing her thing.
Yeah.
Long time. But yeah, we're trying to build roots here. We're trying to continue to meet the folks and be part of the community. And,
Yeah, you do a great job of that. I mean, you're at all the things.
yeah. Be involved with the school. And,
Yeah, I was going to say, you go to all the school events, all the meetings.
Yep.
You're better than me, man.
Well,
I couldn't do it.
You said it. No, it's, I like to know, especially going to the school and going to the meetings. I like to know
It is great.
what's being taught, what the lessons are. I mean, there's a big CRT and DEI back in California schools, and such a horrible woke agenda that actually when I was in the middle of that Tuesday to the Sunday, I called Freedom Prep. I called the school and I'm like, "Hey, yeah, do the kids wear masks?" And they're like, "Oh no, don't wear masks," because this is still in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. It's funny you say in the middle of COVID, because it totally isn't, or shouldn't have been.
Right.
This is 2022.
It was in the middle of COVID for me. Yeah. It was in the middle of COVID for me. So I was like, "Do mask the kids?" And they're like, "Oh dear, no." And I'm like, "Okay, what about, do they need the jab to, the papers?"
Yeah.
By the way, every time we go into LA or something, they're like, "Where are your papers to get into a restaurant?"
That's crazy.
Crazy. I made fake ones.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah. So no masks, no jab. And I said, "Okay, cool. What else do I need to know about the school?" And she's like, "Well, there are school colors, right? There's a uniform." I'm like, "All right, what are the colors?" She's like, "Red, white, and blue." I'm like, "Okay." And what's the name? What's the name of the school? Freedom Preparatory Academy. What's your mascot? Fucking bald eagle. I'm like, I'm in. Sign my kid up.
That's incredible.
I don't even live here yet. Sign my kid up.
That is amazing.
So it's such a stark contrast.
Yeah.
You know what? And everyone's like, "Cal, a great place to visit," right? Like Biggie says, "Cali, great place to visit." But dude, every time we go back, it is still, and I still say California stuff like "dude" all the time. But every time we go back, I'm just like, I can't stand this place. The only reason I'm here is to see my family.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get them to move out here. So
yeah, I know you're working on that.
Yeah.
It really is. It's wild, and it's crazy to see our growth. Like, I'm sure you saw when you came out here, Swig. It was like they already need to build another one.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't design it right. You couldn't. If those other places were open, you couldn't park.
No.
So it's like, you dumbasses.
No.
Like, how did you not think about running that drive-through around? Like,
Right.
the parking lot already is insufficient.
Yeah.
But it's awesome to see it just cranking.
Yes.
Because once all that commerce starts coming and Desert Color becomes what it's going to be, it'll be the premier neighborhood in the entire state. Entire state.
It's the fastest growing community in the Utah area, I believe, maybe in the United States.
Oh, yeah. It's always like in top 3 of the fastest growing communities.
Even
in
from the
US.
time we got here, I think population was 80,000, and now it's up to 100. In St. George, right? Washington County was 160, 170. Now it's up to 200.
Yeah, we got to be like 250,000 in like Washington County area.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. It's wild. It's wild to see all the growth. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
What's funny is we've, because of all the topics we've covered, I'll promote all of our episodes once a week. This one won't be promoted. YouTube won't let us.
Won't let you promote because
of the things we said. 100%. I'll try, but it'll
like what?
The word woke's probably a hard stop on YouTube.
That's you are proving my point.
I know. It's crazy. I had one with a golfer. So this guy's awesome. He was a scratch golfer at 15, went to play college golf, thought he'd be on Sundays, played in his first tournament and realized, like, I ain't playing on Sundays.
Yeah.
So he's out there.
Don't know Saturday morning.
Yeah, he's out there picking up golf balls on a driving range for $11 an hour, hungover and miserable. And as he pulls the cart in, he overhears this guy saying, like, "Oh, I just made $50 doing a golf lesson." He was like, "Oh, tell me more."
Yeah.
Ends up becoming a golf instructor, instructs, like 20,000 hours of golf, and is like, "This is cool, but I can't do this forever." So leans into video, grew his business to where he gets like 3 to 500 or 3 to 5 million views a month on his YouTube channel for golf.
Wow.
And built his business into a 7-figure business, all through teaching digital golf lessons. And on that episode, I think we recorded it like the day after the election or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just briefly talked about it. Can't promote it. So it'll be interesting to see. I'll put it out there. I'm going to put the promotion behind it. But
have you had any? So you've already had a couple of that.
I've had a couple. And one of them, It was like the same thing. Like we barely talked about anything, and it was like no political agendas. And it's like, that's so funny because I guarantee if I was talking about it in the inverse,
Right. Oh, you'd be okay.
There's no way it would be blocked. So it would be really,
Yeah.
I don't think that anything that we've said has been bad. But even just saying COVID, we said the word COVID. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Do you want me to really get this blocked on YouTube?
No,
I got other names for it.
if you keep talking, you're gonna get my channel turned off. Okay, so now we've got to the part where I got to ask you a couple questions. And so the very first one is, what's the biggest win you've ever had in your life?
Ooh, biggest win I've had. I would have to say my family, my wife and daughter.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Biggest win.
So now Agata can listen.
Yes.
Okay, well then, what's the biggest loss?
Ooh, it's a great question. I mean, I've made a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money, but that's business. That's, I think it's the loved ones that you no longer have in your life.
Yeah, that's the one so the reason I like to ask the question is because it's for the listeners who are in the middle of going through something hard.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they're in that forever, but they're not. And eventually you'll get through it and you'll look back on it and be like, oh, I'm so glad that happened. The only time that that's not true is when a family member or a friend or, someone you love passes away.
And that's, like I said, that's part of, growing and learning and living all the business, all the stuff. I try to learn at a real young age. Cars are just metal and rubber. You have a nice car. I've got a nice car. We love our cars. It's metal and rubber, right? Money, you can lose it. You can always.
Sometimes you just shape the metal so it looks cooler.
Yeah, absolutely. But our kids are going to get in car accidents.
Don't say that.
Why do you think I got my 11-year-old beater that I'm going to give to my daughter in 5 years to crash that and not
the Xterra was one of my favorite vehicles. That's like what I really wanted.
Yeah,
really wanted an Xterra.
Yeah, I'll sell it to you.
I might take you up on it.
But it's for those that are out there that are thinking that they're going through hard times, and you may be right. And this is what I mentioned earlier about if someone cuts me off, maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe everyone's going through something. It's in the going back to the faith and kind of closing the loop on everything we've been talking about. That has helped me, praying to God and praying and talking about it, and sometimes not talking about it, right? And just having outlets, whether it be exercise or whether it be some sort of sport or doing something or mowing the lawn, taking time, gardening, taking time for yourself is so crucial. It's so important to have that work-life balance. And, I'm going through things right now, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you are too. And everyone out there, the cliche is, it will get better.
Yeah.
Life
Nothing is
better.
forever.
Nothing's forever. So
good or bad.
You look at some of these things as a blip in the road, and you laugh about them, you cry about them, but any mistakes that you make in life, you can always turn a different corner. I mean, even if you're going down a one-way street, you can always turn around and go the other way, right? And one of the things I learned, in my 30s was, the stupid shit you do when you're in your teens and your 20s. Maturing is not trying to forget about those, but it's really learning from those mistakes and learning from what you did to make you a better person.
Yeah, well, Nelson Mandela has a quote. He says, I never lose. I either win or I learn.
Yeah, he took that from me.
Well, I'll tell you something that you just made me think of that's really interesting. So I did those talks this week, and two of the groups were CEO groups. So the CEOs of major multi-million dollar companies, right? And I think that when you aren't in that seat yet, and maybe you're aspiring for that seat, you look at them and think like, God, they got it all figured out.
Yeah.
They're literally the exact same as the people in this seat. So
100%.
We had, I do an exercise with them where we go through the whole winning the moment talk, and winning the moment is so much about showing up for yourself, kind of like what you just talked about. And so as we work through it, I have a section on why, which is like chapter 7 of my book is Find Your Why, Find Your Purpose. Mark Twain says the two best days in your life, the day you're born and the day you find out why. And so then I read that quote, and then they do an exercise on what's your purpose. And 3 of the CEOs were like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating because it's like, here are these people who are on paper, mathematically, like doing these amazing things. And they were a little taken aback. Like the one gal was like, oh yeah, I just like, I come to work because that's like what my family needs me to do. And,
Right.
and I'm good at it. Like, and it was like, damn, like she is literally just going through this rat race, even though she's at the top of the race and she doesn't even know why she's doing it. It's like that's not fulfilling. You know, you wouldn't want that. And then we have these 5 pillars we take them through: faith, finances, focus, fitness, and family. And I have them rate it 1 through 10. And then you kind of get like an aggregate score. I'm not, and you don't want 100 because no one can be at 100. It's impossible, right? Like if your fitness is at a 10, then family might have to be at a 7 because you're at the gym all the time, right? Like it's a sliding scale. And so what's so interesting about it is that those scores of like these high performing, very successful CEOs would be the exact same scores if I went and did it with like a bunch of 30-year-olds.
Sure.
Because they're all just in that place in their journey, right? So it's like, it doesn't matter if you're 30 or if you're 60, you're still going to have this sliding scale of pulls and triggers, you know?
Absolutely.
And so I think that was, for me, it was because I got to do 3 in a row and it was like, wow, everyone's just the fucking same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Everybody, I mean, we're all human, right?
Yeah.
Everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, you know.
I actually jump into mine.
Everybody except you, Cody. But I mean, you know, we all, you know, we all want to try and coexist on this planet and just, you know, live our lives, be successful, and spread some love. And you know, at the end of the day, if you can put your head down on your pillow, asking yourself, did I do the best I could do today? What else do I need to accomplish? Was I a good person? You know, was I mostly honest about, you know, what I'm doing in life? You know, and it's, you can always pivot, you can always change. But yeah, you know, everybody's going through something out there and everybody will continue to go through something. I try and tell Liv, you know, the sooner you can understand. Matthew McConaughey said this, I think, at one of the SC or UCLA commencement speeches, maybe 8 or 9, 10 years ago. Once you realize life isn't fair and it has nothing to do with you, you'll be a better person. You'll understand more like why is this happening to me? It's not happening to you. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Life isn't fair. It's nothing personal.
Right.
It's nothing personal.
Yeah. We do this other exercise where I have them say, what advice would your 85-year-old self give you? And I have them do 3 pieces of advice your 85-year-old self would give you. Then I have them break up into a group and then do their ahas. And that's the one thing that's universally, almost everyone has the same fucking advice. So it's like we at the end of the day, we all know and want the same stuff. We just get lost in our pursuit of it.
Yeah.
You know, because never ever does someone say, oh, my 85-year-old self says, work your ass off, make as much money as you can, and invest it diligently. That never makes the list, you know? But yet we wake up and we're like, all right.
This is what I got to do. This is what society tells us.
Not one person has ever fucking said that.
I got to go to school. I got to go to college. I got to go get
it's
a
all about
degree
time
and
family.
Money.
Priorities, you know, but yet, so it's like we instinctively know it, but then we get lost in our pursuit and forget about it.
Well, it's crazy because as you get older, you start to realize what are those some important things. And it's easy for people to say, oh, money doesn't matter when you have money, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to say, oh, this doesn't matter because I've already done it. But I'm at the age now where I'm like, you know what? Because my father would always say, save your money, save your money, save your money, son. And I did, and I have. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? I am going to, you know, do some work in the backyard. I am going to put that pool in. I am going to go buy that car. I am going to, you know, not frivolously, but like, you know, enjoy yourself. Because if you're working till 70 years old, 65 years old, and whatever the life expectancy is now, you're talking about 85-year-old self, but I think it's like 79.
That's a good point. I should probably change that number.
Yeah, 85. I mean, listen, I'd love to be 85, but you know, it's taking the trips, going to do all the things, go to Europe, you know, buy the cars, have, you know, I had my midlife crisis in my 20s before we had Liv, you know, lost all my money, spent all my money, traveled the world, did all the things, had the convertible, you know, whatever time frame you're at, you know, do the things.
Cody Sanchez, she's got a new book coming out, Main Street Millionaire. She's brilliant, all about like, she's a brilliant business mind. And she said she's never met anyone who's ever done anything worth talking about who didn't lose everything at one point. I think it's a prerequisite to success.
Yeah.
I've lost it twice.
Yeah.
I hope that's it. I hope I'm done.
Knock on wood. Yeah. Mine was the big financial crash in 08. I had everything in the company I was working for that no longer was around in 08. Or in 08. So, you know, it's, you make mistakes and you learn from them. And you're absolutely right. You know, I mean, if you have everything given to you, you still have to do things with it, right?
Yeah.
And you have to make the decisions and you have to learn from the decisions.
Okay, well, last and final question, but how do you define success?
Oh, how did you ask this question to everybody, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You know,
The reason why, as you think about it, I'll let you percolate,
Yeah.
is because this is where it all started. So I was given one of my talks at a college classroom. Kid raised his hand, and I say, calling him, he says, how do you become successful? And in that moment, I had this aha of like, I don't know why you're asking me, because you and I may want completely different things.
Yeah.
If you want my life, well, here's how I did it. But you should probably first define for yourself, what do you want out of your life, you know? And I realized how jaded that question is, but I think it's probably a very common question that every college student asks of someone that they perceive to be doing things they'd like to be doing. And then I realized, like, man, as society, we never really instructed or told our youth, like, hey, figure out what you really want and then pursue that. It was just kind of like, make money and do good.
Right.
You know, and so I love to ask that question because I've gotten so many profound answers. And so now I'm going to aggregate all of that. And if I ever get around to writing a second book, that will be the data that goes into it. So with that table being set, how do you define it?
You know, just being able to wake up in the morning. Just being able to wake up in the morning.
Living.
Just living. You know, I've got a roof over my head. I got a wonderful family. I've got hot water. I got food in my fridge. It doesn't matter what kind of food it is, doesn't matter what kind of house it is, doesn't matter what kind of car it is, you know, being in the moment and being alive and being able to spend the time with my loved ones and my family and my friends, and to be able to make an impact on what my daughter is going to do in her life, and an impact of what we're doing in the community, and an impact of what we're doing in our lives and our faith. I know it's a long answer, but it's not a simple black and white yes or no question.
My favorite part of it was the brevity of the first one, waking up in the morning, because as simple as it is, if you knew tomorrow you weren't going to wake up,
would you do
give
things differently?
Anything to wake up, you know, and ultimately it starts with being alive first.
Just waking up is half the battle.
And there's so many things that we want as people, you know, like, fuck, the list is so long, but really nothing's more important than breathing.
Yeah.
Because none of that other shit matters if you can't,
None of it matters, yeah.
So that's probably one of the shortest answers if I take just that little snippet.
Absolutely.
But almost my favorite, because that's really where it starts. Yeah. And then it doesn't matter what you're doing in your life or what your struggles are, or where you're at in your journey. That is one unifying thing for all of us, that it has to start there.
Absolutely.
Good answer.
Thank you.
All right, Carl. Well, thank you so much for being here with me. I can't wait to spend a week with you in Mexico.
Let's do it.
It's going to be awesome. What a great way to end season one. What a fucking awesome answer to end it with. And to all the listeners out there who have spent 80 episodes with us, whether you listen to all 80 or this is your first, thanks for being here with us on this journey. Thank you for helping us get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's a milestone I never even would have thought to pursue when we started this journey. And obviously, if you're listening to this, you know we're in the midst of the holiday season. We're going to take a break. We're going to refresh. We're going to recharge. And we're going to come back better than ever in season 2. I think we'll probably transition from a weekly episode to a monthly episode. We're going to bring even more incredible guests in 2025 and really dive deep into some awesome topics. So thank you so much for listening. Happy holidays to everyone. And most importantly, thanks for staying with us.